what's your fee schedule?
It's a good question. It's based on the size of the issue, and we have to establish a formula. We really haven't approached that with any forethought.
There's no retainer fee, and then so you make your money on the issuance of the debt.
And if there's no issuance, and you're still our client, and you call us 6 months later, ask us for something, so the fee is only at the time of bond issue.
Yeah, we have a lot of clients, obviously, that are not annual issuers, that are occasional issuers, and again, our level of service is regardless of whether you're in the bond market or not. And that's one of the reasons that we keep all of our clients and continue to gain clients is because we're high service and fair fees.
I think my cell phone is on my business card.
As is our,
We can typically be reached at any time, and if I can't get to something, there is, as Dave mentioned, always someone in the office, but at this point, Dave and I will be the primary contact.
Okay, I'll just say mine, that's finance.
Yes, hi. Just connecting with what Trustee Payton had asked about the payment. I understand you're saying it's at bond issuance. Do you have a percentage or anything that you typically charge?
yes.
Okay? We won't share it. Okay.
Right, well, it's usually a base number,
Okay.
something, again, depending on the size of the issue. But
Uh-huh.
it might be $7,000 for the first $500,000 in bonds, and then 3/10 of
Like a formula.
a formula
Yeah,
thereafter.
anything in addition.
Understand formulas. Okay. Just going to your case study, I was just interested in knowing, I understand in our situation, we do have the audits that we have to take care of first, but the other thing that makes us similar to the case study is improving our rating. Do you, as part of the plan, help assist with that or make
That is-
suggestions?
That would be our goal,
Okay.
to get you back to into the position or into the credit market.
Okay.
And so, there's some cleanup work here.
Yeah.
Once we get everything in place, get our audits current, why not? Then it's time to, we've established ourselves and, we're doing what we're supposed to do and we're filing our audits on time and we're doing all our documents. Now, let's get our face out there and see where we are with a bond rating.
Okay, so that comes after the audit?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I got that. All right, my next question, real quick, is I'm glad that you do have some history with the Virgin and understand our situation somewhat. With getting our rating back and being able to meet our goals, just like the case study that you have here, I don't know, what was the time frame when you started with them and when they started meeting their goals, and where do you project that we'll be?
With the case study, it took us probably about a year to get the financing done. They did have some cleanup work to do as well, but we stayed on them, made sure all the target dates were met, all the documents were filed, and once everything was in place and we were able to gather all the information and then go to market with the bonds. And it wasn't about go to market, but it was about identifying and working with various underwriters like you'll do with Fifth Third and other banks, because there are no decision has been made. But it's working and identifying various underwriters that would purchase your bonds, and we pretty much go from there.
And it really is going to be a multiple step process, right? I mean, your audits will come in, and the issue that you would have to restructure the 2003s would still be an unrated bond issue. I think in the case study, we're still working toward a rating, selling, I think, insurance first, and then the rating would hopefully follow in that situation. So it may be similar to that, but insurance companies would probably be the first step toward your credit before you actually get into the rating process.
It's pretty much establishing some history. you want to establish some history, you clean up and then, oh, here, my 2018 audits are now on time. And, you know, you start this history of being focused on ensuring that everything is timely, everything is fine timely, so there's now this track record. See,
Yeah.
this is where we were, this is where we are today.
Rating agencies love cash, obviously, and, you know, being able to establish, you know, reserves, you know, is going to be a very important part of that rating process as well.
The one thing I do want to mention, though, we do have we do have an in-house tool that we use. So once your financial statements are on time and things are going well, we have a tool that we can use to put together, we enter some information, so to speak, from your financial information, kind of get an idea as to where you would fall in the rating before we actually go out to that. So we can use some tools that give us, it's not exact, but it gives us an idea of where we think it would be before we think about going out to the rating agency.
Unfortunately, I mean, there are times that you don't want to ask because you don't want the answer. That's right. And that's where we are at this juncture. So we want to work toward that, where as Ralph was indicating that we're pretty sure where the answer is going to be.
And I believe once you pass, they have to publish, I think.
No,
They
no.
don't have to publish, okay.
If we
So
withdraw.
we just want to do an in-house. But
Ms. Martin?
again,
Okay, I just have one question. Okay, after, say for instance, you were the person that we chose, okay? And you helped us get to this picture perfect rating or
Could you
picture
use
perfect
your mic,
finance. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had a loud voice. No. This picture perfect scenario. Does your company assist us in, where's my question, investing? Helping us to invest our resources or showing us how to invest our resources for
We are
sustainability?
not investment advisors, and you know, we remain laser focused on the debt side. There are companies that do investment management, and we could recommend companies to you, but you know, one of the difficulties is you end up trying to serve several masters, and that's not really our focus.
Okay, now my questions are, seeing on the bond series going to 1998, 2002, 2003, those are only years. And looking at the fact that they will be over, seeing one of our tips will be over as well soon, very shortly, and we will be bringing in millions of dollars into the village at that point when TIP 5 is over. We're really looking forward to that. As our trustee Milton Payne said, we need to work with them as far as their rate as well, because once that comes in, we're going to be very, very comfortable. And I'm looking forward to that. Seeing when I took office in 2011, we hadn't had an audit since 2008. So now we're further up the road, a lot further now than we were back then. So not having an audit since 2008 when I took office in 2011, but now we are at least 2015. And as the other trustee Wilson said, we're looking for someone to help us. Everyone has a specialty. All our trustees up here has a specialty in what they do professionally. So we're not financial people. So we're looking for someone to give us a timetable. Tell us when this is due. We'll never be late with an audit. You need this done. This is the time frame for your bond. This is the time frame for your audit. This is the time frame for just like that. And as far as our comprehensive plan, I was in the chief and I and our commission, planning and zoning commission, was in a training in Joliet last week. And they told us, regardless of your comprehensive plan, your financial should still be looked at and addressed every year, regardless of what it says, to make sure, as you said, we're intact. We're looking for someone to take the finance over and get us on top of things so we will not lose anything. Show us how to do a great budget. Make sure we're financially in line of what we should be with everyone that we're supposed to report to. Are we making right reports? Are we doing this? That's the checklist Those are the punch lists that we need to get together. That's why we're looking for someone to do that efficiently and financially. And my next question was, what was the bond rate for Maywood? Did you end up working with that? What was their rate?
Their rating had actually been withdrawn.
Pardon me?
Their rating was withdrawn by the rating agency because they did not have any audits to provide to the rating agency, and it was just taken away, period.
No,
So they're digging out of a hole.
Right.
So, I mean, we're 3 years into a relationship, they're closer to being ground level, but they're not out of the hole yet.
Okay, so what's the forecast for us looking at this? Is there's hope? I'm sure we've been told that. So that's what we're looking for you to get. I'm sorry.
Of course there is. At this point, I think the primary focus are those financial statements, those audits.
Okay.
And I think once those audits are in place,
Right.
then, we're not going to wait until the audits are ready before we can start doing some modeling. And because we are expecting those audits to be done by a certain date, and once those are in place, then we can say, okay, that's a trigger now
Right.
to move to the next step.
And that's what we're looking for as a board and village manager, is that model to get us where we need to be. Because we know in 4 years we're going to be way up. We're going to be very good. But until that time, we need to get our ducks in order. We need to get a financial specialty to come in here and get this done. Where's the punch line for you? What's this? What's that? We don't want to be late with anything anymore. We want to be current with our audits. We want to make sure our bills are paid. At the same time, we want to be on a budget. And we want to get a bond rating that's better for our bonds. So that's what we're looking for someone to do. Like she said, finance for dummies, finance 101. We need to get that done today. We cannot procrastinate any longer because the residents deserve better than that as well as this village. So we're looking for you to do that for us. And if you think you're capable of doing that, do you think you're capable of doing that for us?
Certainly.
Okay, and give us that map and that discipline and show us what to do and how to do it, what to do it with. Okay? That's what we're looking for. Any other questions? Anyone else? Okay. Anyone from the audience?
Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for listening to us and taking the time. Thank you.
We're going to move to this agenda
Very good. Now,
a little bit more rapidly.
okay, we have the finance and accounting services.
Okay, so everybody got their email attachment in regards to our RFP that the board looked at the last committee of the whole meeting in regards to bringing in accounting services starting in the very near future. This point, the board has already provided their input. I just wanted to give an opportunity for the finance committee to provide any input or questions to that. If there are none, we can kind of move past that and go forward. I just wanted to give the finance committee an opportunity to have reviewed it and provide and ask any questions.
Well, I do. I have just one question to start, is that from my understanding that RFPs are for the finance part that we're going to be getting, where we're going to have the support for finance.
Yes,
Right?
that's correct.
These are the bond people here.
That's correct.
Right, okay. I just wanted to get.
So there's a two-part process
Yeah,
here.
two
So,
different-
so there's a dual process, okay? As you all know, in 2016 timeframe, most of the finance department was laid off. From that point, there were no financial entries made into our financial management system. There were no bank reconciliations done, basically. The finance department was disabled. Finance doing accounts payable and various accounting functions with in my opinion, the finance department was doing very well at, but we did not have anybody doing the daily accounting or bookwork. The village engaged with IRH. At this point, the village is at a juncture where we feel like the future of the finance department is gone. It has been documented, stated that we've spent millions of dollars in finance directors, finance workers, accountants, and doing a job in which now we're in the position that we're in now. I think the only way that the residents, as well as the board and the finance committee, to find confidence in our financial operations is bringing in an outside contractor to do all of our financial operations from A to B. Short of payables, basically everything is going to be done. We want to do it in a competitive process where companies come in, they apply, they provide a resume of all their workers that are working for them, what other municipalities they've used, as well as references of other municipalities they're at, and present this, and hopefully have these options in. IRH is currently working on inputting the 2016 financials. At that point, that is done, that is IRH, and IRH is complete with that. From 2017 going forward, this RFP process will take place, and the board will, based on my recommendation, bring in, and the Finance Committee's recommendation, bring in a company to handle finances. IRH does have the option to do a RFP going from 2017 going forward is inputting the financials, but I think at this point, we need to do something in a more structured manner that is more conducive. Madam Mayor, you have a
Yeah, I
question?
just wanted to let you know at the last meeting of the whole, we did say the finance committee, and we would have 3 residents. We asked for residents to volunteer, and they said they would. So we want to have our stockholders, our stakeholders rather, to be a part of that, along with the board members and finance. So it will be very transparent of that selection.
Okay, so
Okay.
you say you have a group that,
We'll be doing it.
So basically what's going to occur is we're going to issue the RFP. We're going to issue the manner of selection. The manner of selection will consist of a committee. The committee will consist of a member or 2 from the Finance Committee, a member or 2 from the Board of Trustees, a member or 2 from the community, community stakeholders. And what we're going to do is review all RFP packets based on the specification, look through them. Based on that, I review the input that's provided from that committee. I come up with a criteria. Those criteria are presented to the board as a whole, the Finance Committee as a whole. I would want to call a joint board and Finance Committee meeting again, most likely, to go over the criteria, go over what we're looking at, narrow it down on who we want to bring in to do a presentation on their services, and at that point, do a final recommendation on who's going to do the financial services for the village. We're going to try to kind of streamline it and make it in a manner that's more transparent than normal. Normally, our RFP process would probably be very small, 3 or 4 people in the room going through packets. I think with something like this, it's going to be a little bit more larger and broader because of what we're looking at going forward for the village.
okay, so this group has already been selected?
No, we have not even put this out yet in the market. We have not put this out yet.
Not the RFP, the review.
No, it has not been selected.
Okay, I just heard the mayor say it or something.
Yeah, and
They
actually,
volunteered, so they were going to put this package together. We'll consider them. And people have volunteered, the outside people who are on the finance committee know that hasn't been done totally. So we're still putting that together.
So basically, they're putting together RFP. Right.
We're putting together a group. At the last board meeting, we asked for volunteers. People did volunteer. So we'll consider the volunteers and select a group.
When you're trying to deal with.
Right.
I got you. Okay, so
Yeah.
you have to do it.
yeah, and so this RFP will be presented to the board at the May 1st board meeting for final action. The board provided input of how they wanted this to be looked at. This will go back over to the village attorney. We will work on the specification process as far as the selection and how that's going to go. It'll be presented to the board as a motion on May 1st, and then it'll be published appropriately in the newspaper and various other professional accounting areas, governor state, various other organizations, professional organizations that deal with accounting and various things like that. If you look at the specifications, they're very, very competitive. We want to know who's working for you. We want to know their experience. We want to know where they've worked at before. They have to provide municipal references. There are at least 2 municipalities that I know of that are currently using this current format. Bonita is one. Hazelcrest is another that they're using this form of accounting services where these accounting services, they come in maybe 2 to 4 times a month. They do the journal entries. They do the month-end closeouts. They create reports for the board and finance committee, and then they come back the next month. They prepare for the audit and go forward from there. Is there any additional questions or comments or concerns from the Finance Committee? The board has already provided their input. I just wanted to give you guys opportunities.
I think I'm gonna provide some additional ones.
If you want to communicate with me directly, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. So the next item on the agenda discussion is going to be, I call them the big three, because those are the big three departments that really put a huge impact on the budget. That's going to be police, fire, and public works. They have what you have in your packet is a very extremely rough draft of the budget. So I have not even started cutting yet from the budget based on that figure that you see in the budget. I'm going to have each representative of the department come up, speak briefly, very briefly on their budget, what they're looking like as far as their goals for the next budget year, what they're looking at as far as capital projects and various things and various service improvements for the residents. We'll start with fire, we'll go with police, and then public works last. Chief Chelios.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Anyone that got a blue folder from Justilia this evening has the gist of my report in that packet. It's basically a condensed version of an annual report on what we've been up to, what we do as a department, how we go about doing our business. So if there's any questions about any of that information, our contact information is in the back sheet of that as well. We're looking to keep our current level of services established, along with keeping our equipment functioning. We did not, we have not really moved in any direction on capital improvements yet. That will be forthcoming as we move through the process with the manager, along with a full narrative description of each one of our amounts that we submitted for. So we're going to continue to go after grants and any other federal, funding opportunities we can find. We are looking to participate in some federal cooperatives that would grant us access to federal equipment in terms of tools and equipment. Anything we can look for that will defer costs to the taxpayers and allow us to operate as effectively as possible. So feel free to read that information at your leisure. Again, my contact information along with Deputy Chief Richards is in the back of that packet. And we welcome any questions about that information or about anything in general about the fire department. And that's it.
Thank you, Chief Chelios. And the reason we're going to be brief tonight, like I said, this is a very rough draft of the budget. Secondly, I think one thing that's been missing in the budget process, at least since I've been here, is the actual incorporation of the department heads in the budget process as far as them doing a formal presentation of their figures and numbers to the board. You guys can get a piece of paper all day long, but you have to hear from the actual staff members, understand their priorities, what they do, and where they're seeing things go. Because I think that's very important for, number one, for them to advocate for themselves, and number two, builds a foundation for me to advocate on their behalf to the board and the finance committee. So this is just a very small preview of what we're looking at here. We're going to have more meetings like this to delve into the budget process, which is very important. So we're going to, from there, move forward to police. Deputy Chief Wilson.
Oh, Chief,
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay, question for fire?
Yes.
Okay.
Chief, I know we have not spoken since I left the Police and Fire Commission, but I just want to make sure for your shifts, the way we structure it, that definitely would help. I see you moving Dowdish, the youngest one, up to a shift. So pretty much the fire department, I guess prior to me coming on, would have like $250,000 worth in overtime. That problem is solved. That's what I want to make for the record tonight, correct? With
At the moment, overtime is not an issue.
okay.
With the promotion of Lieutenant Richards to Deputy Chief, yes, it created an opening at the rank of lieutenant that the commission is going to have to address through the promotions process. What you're seeing in our organizational chart is everyone remaining on black shift moved up, and then the firefighter Dobesh, that was our floater firefighter, has now been moved over to A shift to fill that spot. So right now, we are operating, with 5 members per shift like we have been. Looking into the immediate future, we are going to have 2 more retirements at the rank of lieutenant this year. So combining with the promotion of Sean plus the other 2 retiring, that's 3 immediate replacement hires that we have to make as soon as possible.
Okay.
We have been working with the commission to schedule the entry firefighter process, which is scheduled for late June.
Okay.
So we have things in motion, and it's just a matter of allowing the time to pass so they can be taken care of.
We won't be in a situation where we have to hire another floater, will we? Or with the entry pretty much in a promotion exam would probably handle all that. We won't be, well, I guess the question would be, we would not be in the same situation we were prior to the two firefighters being hired, correct? Will everything kind of balance out, right?
Yeah, right now back then we were flat out short the personnel, we just didn't have them.
Okay.
The difference now is that we have that reserve type of person in place to handle this first opening that's been created. And as long as we stay on schedule with the commission and our programs and our processes, we will be much better off than we were the last time.
Okay, great. Just another question for the I-57. Is it true that if an ambulance or a fire truck go out there, chief or village manager, that we receive any revenue for that? Mayor, didn't we have that was a little controvecy?
I think that's been resolved. I think over the last, 6 months or plus, I think that was resolved with Monique, I think Fire Protection District
Yes.
responding to our calls.
We uncovered a situation where a former chief in the department, basically he entered into a memorandum of understanding with a fire district that the board, neither nor the manager knew about. It was not discovered until probably 8 or 9 months until after he left. So there was a situation where neighboring agencies were responding into the village limits and handling incidents. That has been resolved. We now handle everything northbound and southbound on the expressway from just north of the Mooney exit all the way through to the Wilcook County line.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, and then my last one would be, I know I've zipped through this, Chief, Manager Pate, I know that you had spoke of it and you have been doing a great job about applying for grants. Did we get a status of possibly having a new Station 2 so the residents will know that we are moving forward?
So just a quick update on Station 2, and actually as of yesterday we've discovered the land that's next to the vacant land that we're looking to move Station 2 at, somebody's purchased it currently, and the acreage of land that the village currently owns on that property is not enough to build a Station 2, but we are looking at other options as far as looking at potentially the current Station 2 location, doing rehab and expansion of that location because we do own that property in that area. We are actively speaking with, I believe, the United States Department of Agriculture in regards to that. We've been in communication back and forth. The village does fit the requirements of the grant. The issue is the funding model that we have to use to obtain funding. So we're currently going back and forth in conversation with that. So that is in the horizon. I don't see that in the immediate future, or in saying immediate, not in the next 6 months, but maybe in the next year to 18 months, that potentially coming into fruition. But we are actively working on that.
Great, thank you.
That was a question I was going to say. The Station 2 that we have currently back there, I know it's in an old, bad condition. So with the Department of Agriculture, there can be some renovation or possibly, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
They work with that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just quickly, and this would really be across the board with all the departments, one of the sore points that have been historically, and I'm talking going back 20-something years here, is that we have not had a proper capital budget. And we have had surprises with having to, purchase new ambulances or fire trucks and so forth. And one of the things that I would like to see is a realistic projection of what we're going to need in terms of fire, police, public works, so forth, so that we can factor that in our financial plan and maybe, get some of that stuff through our bond financing if that's allowable.
Well, I would tell you, trustee, first, excellent statement. And I think we had a whole conversation on capital budgeting last week over at the mayor's office. We used her office while she wasn't using it to kind of meet in a secluded area to kind of have a open discussion in regards to capital planning and budgeting going forward. Empowering department heads to run their departments and actually do proper planning as far as equipment and needs. So the board will get that this budget year for the first time. You will get that. As I told the heads of departments, you may not get everything at once, but at least we know what's coming up and what's needed. So when we do budgetary and capital planning, that we know what's in the forefront and there's a prioritization list per department of what's needed, such as ambulances that are coming due for replacement, police cars that are needed currently in the police department, and public works equipment, as well as large trucks and small trucks and various other equipment that's needed. So that has been my marching orders for them to come up with for this upcoming budget year, even though we may not make the purchase, but we know in the forefront of what's needed.
Okay, next, please. And I would like to see as well in the capital budget, and I've said this a long time, we should be looking at, there's a lot of grants out there. And I think in everybody's budget, they should show some presentation of obtaining a grant. Some type of grant. Everyone should put in their budget a grant. Go out there and seek a grant. And with Governor State sitting right next door to us, that's not an impossible thing to be done. Okay.
Can I make a
Sure.
comment on this though? Just looking at the overall, and I'm glad you got the top three here. But just in general, what I see is we got a big gap between what we're gonna have in revenue and what we're proposing as spending. This doesn't even include capital equipment.
There's some issues I have with that, so we can talk about that.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's a big, that's a
Yeah,
big
understand,
gap.
and here's the thing.
Because I discussed this before, and I'm not sure that the accounting for some of the items in here is properly offset by the revenue, and it needs to be taken out maybe and put elsewhere. We've had this conversation with Ed Rogers from IRH also, and the numbers that I was looking at, and I know we're jumping ahead of it here, about $3 million. So that takes us closer to a balanced budget as opposed to looking at a deficit. So
I'm not even being hung up about it being a balanced budget, but I'm just saying, there's a big gap with what we see right here in this paper. Now, unless you're saying that there